Hi, my name is Jeanna Isham, and I create custom music, sonic branding, and sound identities for companies and brands. I also consult with and help develop company sound strategies. I've spent about 20 years in the audio industry, and I've seen some really fascinating and exciting things come to life in the sound space, especially in the last several years. One of which is what I was asked to talk about today, and that is sonic branding. Sonic branding is known by lots of different names, like sonic identity, jingles, mnemonics, earworms, etc. However, they are all slightly different elements of sonic branding as a whole. I define sonic branding as creating a unique sound for a brand or company that can then be incorporated into the brand's audio touchpoints. This could be in the form of on-hold music, presentation music for events, Muzak for a retail store, app sounds and ringtones, sonic logos, theme music, video marketing music, hardware and other functional sounds, brand voicings like Siri, Alexa, and Bixby, and the list goes on. The really special thing about sonic branding is that it can be anything. It is not limited to tonal music, but can be sound, or even, I would argue, vibrational rhythms and haptic functionality. By releasing the idea that sound in marketing is limited to licensing a cool popular song, you open up a huge amount of possibility and a lot of new entry points that you can consider for your sonic sound. This freedom to go as big or as little as you want also makes sound in marketing accessible and available to everyone, not just a multi-million-dollar corporation with a huge marketing budget. This last part is huge and the most important reason to know what your brand sounds like. As pretty much everyone here knows, voice-first and voice-only technology is catching on fast, and it's here to stay. The sooner brands and companies embrace this, the better. With our society demanding a more and more immersive customer experience, a rise in multimodal and cross-modal technology, and the post-COVID demands for touchless devices and interaction, we need to be ready to communicate in every possible way we can, and that includes communicating through sound. One of the ways I like to illustrate what sonic branding really is by explaining the difference between a jingle and a sonic logo. Most everyone knows what a jingle is, and a lot of people would say a sonic logo is the same thing. But not necessarily. A sonic logo is a short auditory phrase that captures the essence of the brand or company. That means a sound that represents the whole brand and not just a one-off campaign message. A jingle is a short slogan, verse, or tune designed to be easily remembered, especially as used in advertising. When we think of advertising, we tend to think of specific brand launches or new products. Advertising generally represents a specific campaign rather than the brand as a whole. The music and sound developed and/or licensed for these campaigns are not necessarily brand specific. They are more project specific. So a jingle is usually used as a musical sound that represents that specific project. I feel that calling a sonic logo a jingle limits the possibility of what a logo could be. I'm not saying that a jingle isn't useful or effective, because it is and sometimes can turn into a sonic logo. I'm just saying that a sonic logo's intention is to represent a brand at the get-go, rather than one at-hand piece of messaging. When you have a sonic logo established, curating and creating further campaigns could be that much easier once the sound has been defined. With that logo, you can then start piecing together a music style guide, which is the same kind of idea as a visual branding guideline. So, if you've made it this far and you're intrigued but daunted, don't worry. Although this may feel like a brand new thing, sound is one of the oldest ideas out there. It just requires changing your perspective. Think of it as heading to the coffee shop to get some work done, instead of your desk. Your desk may have all you need, but it's lacking a fresh perspective. Sometimes you need a good change of scenery. I encourage you to challenge yourself and think, what do I or my brand sound like? It's important to define this as your brand and not your personal self. If you are your brand, then there's something there, but if your brand is separate from you, it should have its own persona. So these next questions are not about how you feel, it's how your brand would feel. Try and write as many as you can think of. You can delete things later. Think of this as a stream of consciousness. Number 1. What songs and genres and sounds do not represent your brand? I like to start with this one because sometimes it's easier to rule things out than to come up with things. Once you realize what you're not, you can start honing in on what you are. Number 2, what existing songs would represent your brand? Is there a song out there that the lyrics are just spot on, or it has just the right emotion that fits perfectly into what your brand is and does? Number 3, what genres would represent your brand? This is important because let's say you as a person love ska, but your brand is more traditional and introspective. It might be represented better with classical music. Very important to keep in mind. And then stick with it. Number 4, what sounds in nature or around town represent your brand? For this one, I like to use the example of an outdoor brand like REI or Columbia Sportswear. I would say crackling campfires, crickets chirping, boots crunching, people talking quietly, hawks cawing, waterfalls rushing, twigs snapping. I think you get the idea. If this is too hard, start with what does my brand industry sound like and go from there. By asking yourself these questions, you'd be able to have a visual association to corresponding sounds. It makes the idea more accessible, and from there, you can start writing words that depict your sounds, creating mood boards, and verbalizing with colleagues and other connections on more ideas that come to mind for them, and you're on your way. These are just jumping off points. From here, you would talk to someone like me or Colleen or Audrey, whom you'll be hearing from both of them later. The more you've done your homework, the better. Sonic branding should not be fully up to the creative. It's great to have clients where I write something and they say, "Great, here's your check." But the question is, did I actually create something that is your brand or just something that they like to listen to? I would rather this be your vision that I helped depict, not just my fun creation. I hope you enjoyed my very brief introduction to sonic branding. My goal is to get you inspired and for you to try thinking differently about sound in general. You're all in one way or another already involved in voice, so this concept isn't lost on you, I'm sure. I'd love to answer any questions you may have, so please feel free to reach out anytime. Thanks again.